Soviet myths must be debunked, because today Russia uses them to zombie the world. And there are so many fake facts in Russian history that we simply need to get rid of them. What is worse, many important, influential people have a totally different history, character, and attitude as Russian propaganda describes them. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine. I've started vlogging after the brutal Russian invasion, and I know, together we will witness Ukrainian victory and Russian defeat. But first, we have to debunk all of their myths. Today, I want to introduce you to a man who literally changed the history and the future of the world. A man whose name was kept a secret during the times of Cold War and whose nationality is still kept a secret by Russian propaganda. I want to introduce you to Serhiy Koroliov, a Ukrainian genius who changed the space race. His life is a mixture of a detective story, a tragedy, and a triumph. His life clearly demonstrates what was it to be a genius in Soviet Union. You know Serhiy Koroliov because he is the one who created Sputnik. He is the one who sent Gagarin, the first cosmonaut, into space, and he is also the coordinator of the first spacewalk by cosmonaut Leontiev. He created lots of technologies that seemed impossible before he started creating them. And throughout his life, he remained a Ukrainian. In this video, I will give you a lot of facts that illustrate his Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian soul. But Soviet Union did not want to acknowledge him as a Ukrainian and spoke that all of his achievements were the achievements of Soviet people. Nothing personal, just propaganda. Today, Roscosmos celebrates his birthday and Elon Musk confirms what a great Russian that was. In reality, the story and life of Serhiy Koroliov began in Zhytomyr. He was born in 1907 and later his lands were occupied by communist regime. Serhiy Koroliov was born in a Ukrainian-speaking family to a mother who comes from an old Cossack family. He was introduced to Ukrainian legends, Ukrainian history, and Ukrainian songs that he loved so much. Many of his colleagues knew about that, and the first Ukrainian cosmonaut in the space, Pavlo Popovich, actually sang one of Koroliov's favorite songs in the space. First, he studied in Odessa, which is Ukraine. Then he continued his education in Kyiv Polytechnic University, which is in Kyiv, Ukraine. There he constructed one of his first gliders and named it Koktebel in honor of a very famous Ukrainian resort in Ukrainian Crimea. So let us briefly sum up this first part of Koroliov's life. He was born in Ukraine to a Ukrainian family with a long Cossack heritage. He studied in 2 Ukrainian educational institutions and he associated himself with Ukraine. He wrote articles, scientific articles, in times of extreme Russification in Ukrainian. And he loved Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian songs. And as many Ukrainians, in 1938 he encountered Great Stalin's terror. In the end of 30s, thousands of talented, independent-minded people were killed by Stalin. And Koroliov was at great danger together with other Ukrainian constructors. He was accused of nationalism, that is, traditional accusations that Russians have towards anyone who doesn't want to change his cultural identity and be Russified. And he was prosecuted and received 10 years in GULAG, which was similar to a death sentence. He was also heavily beaten, his jaw was broken, and his fingers were broken. This trauma will later lead to a tragedy in his life. So, in 1938, all of his property was confiscated and he was sent to Kolyma. The road there was really difficult. He had a heart attack and his health deteriorated really quickly. He was working on mines and he was very close to death. But lots of Soviet constructors and aviators started writing Stalin letters, asking to release Korolev because they desperately needed his expertise in their work. And construction of missiles and aviation were a priority to Stalin. That's why he decided to simplify his sentence and he was allowed to return back to Moscow after 2 years in GULAG. Wait. It's not that he was free to do whatever he wanted. He simply changed GULAG into a labor camp of a different quality. Yes, there were labor camps for engineers, researchers, doctors, any kind of person in Soviet Union during Stalin's terror. And he worked there just as a slave, but of course he was able to dedicate his time to his ideas and became prominent scientist. Serhiy Korolyov's projects were so big, were so ambitious that no one could stop him. And Soviet Union needed such scientists. So very quickly he was allowed to work more, to study more, and he created Sputnik, which actually gave start to space race with the US. It was very much needed during the Cold War, and a lot of records were broken by Soviet Union because of Serhiy Korolyov's work. Actually, he was the only and the lonely genius behind this Soviet space race. I have to name just 3 facts. Sputnik, the first artificial satellite in space. Gagarin, the first human being in space, the first cosmonaut. And Leonov, the first person to walk in space. There is actually one more fact that bothered me a lot when I was a child, the story of Belka and Strelka. These are 2 dogs that were sent to space on a rocket and happily returned back. What bothered me most is the end of their trip. And actually they returned back, and it seems to me that many of their puppies were later given as presents to global leaders. That is a happy ending of a dog love story in space, but actually there were lots and lots of dogs that still orbit the Earth. After the end of Stalin's terror, after the death of Stalin, after so many examples of Korolyov's success, he was really famous, but at the same time his name was still kept a secret. But of course, cosmonauts, researchers knew about his genius. He was influential, but at the same time he knew how bad, how dangerous Soviet machine is. His health deteriorated greatly during the time spent in labor camps and in mines, and in the 60s he got in hospitals pretty often. During one of seemingly ordinary operations, Serhiy Korolyov died. It may seem like anything can happen during an operation, it is always a risk, but the reality is tragic. Do you remember I've told you that Serhiy Korolyov was badly injured during tortures he had? Like his jaw was broken and doctors could not perform a normal reanimation during the operation because the tube would not get into his broken jaw. So we may say that after the decades, he still died because of Stalin's terror. They will slam you without an obituary. That is a phrase that Serhiy Korolyov often repeated when talking to his very close friends. He knew how awful Soviet machine was, and I think he would not be happy to realize that until now Russian propaganda uses him as a symbol of Russian glory and the strength of an awful monster, the USSR, that caused so many troubles in the life of this genius and to some extent led to his premature death. Soviet myths must be debunked because they help modern Russia lead its propaganda. And many people all over the world still believe Russian narratives. By stealing Ukrainian history and talented people that are Ukrainians, Russia cannot steal the features we possess. But still, it is much easier to live in the world that knows the truth. To know more about Ukraine, Russian and Soviet occupation, please subscribe, share the videos that you like, and help us fight this informational war. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!